Hello, friends. This is Dave Hurwitz, executive editor at ClassicsToday.com, here with Dave's Faves. And today I want to talk to you about this marvelous sort of Japanese Phillips recording containing Stravinsky's The Firebird Suite, conducted by the young, the inexperienced, well, just the young Bernard Haitink. And, Haitink was never a Stravinsky guy. He really wasn't. I mean, he did the early ballets. He did them with the London Philharmonic. Does anyone care? No, not really. And they weren't terrible, not by any stretch of the imagination. But he just never got into Stravinsky. It wasn't his Fach, shall we say. But this Firebird Suite is very nice. It's a decent Firebird with the Concertgebouw playing very well. And it's nice to have. However, the real gem on this disc is Petrushka with the Concertgebouw and Hans Rosbaud. Now, Rosbaud, as we all know, was a contemporary music specialist. He was one of the most marvelous, beloved, sincere, terrifically prepared, intelligent of all 20th century conductors. And the problem was he spent most of his life with the SWR Symphony Orchestra, which, try as he might, especially since he was recording in the immediate post-war period, it really was a raunchy kind of second-rate ensemble. He got them to play. He got them to play at a remarkable range of repertoire. And you were able to understand what he was doing interpretively, which is really, where it's at. But the amount of recordings he made with the great orchestras is very, very few. There was some Sibelius in Berlin, a few other things, very, very little. So this Petrushka with the Concertgebouw is really important, and it is fantastic. It really is. First of all, you have the Concertgebouw, which, has amazing woodwinds, and it's just a great orchestra. Then you have Rosbaud, who is the most marvelously precise, natural, elegant interpreter of this music. It's just a phenomenal performance. All those tricky rhythms in the first tableau, and it's going brum cha 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 brum cha 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 brum cha 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 yep. That stuff is so hard to do. I mean, I've played it. Trust me, friends. It's harder than the Rite of Spring. It is just obnoxiously difficult. And you get a sense that Stravinsky was sort of writing it on paper. In other words, he didn't really care whether anyone could play it. But of course, nowadays they just toss it off. But in these days, what was the year of this thing? It was 1962. Playing Petrushka was still something of a virtuoso tour de force. And Rosbaud leads the Concertgebouw on a first-class virtuoso tour de force performance, which is very well recorded. It sounds just lovely. It's one of those sort of classic sleeper recordings. And I remember, trying to find it on LP, and when, everybody was on Vergo for a while, actually, and then it popped up here back on Phillips. It circulated around. Some people licensed it because it was just this singleton recording of Rosbaud with the Concertgebouw doing Petrushka, and nobody knew who Hans Rosbaud was, so nobody really cared. And there were all these high-powered Stravinsky guys running around like Bernstein and Boulez, and and they were great. I mean, don't get me wrong. And with the Concertgebouw, you had Colin Davis's Stravinsky late ballets, some of which are marvelous, and the Petrushka was excellent. So people didn't really have time for this. It was just sort of one of those sleeper recordings. But my God, if you can still get your hands on it. And like I said, right now it's Japanese Phillips with the Haitink 1919 Firebird and the Rosbaud 1947 Petrushka, you're going to be in for a real treat, because they just don't make them like this anymore. It is such a brilliant and I don't know. It's just effortless. Even the ending, that disappointing ending, makes sense. Makes real sense. I mean, it just moves perfectly. It's a beautifully shaped performance, and I just love it. Love it to death. That's why it's one of Dave's faves, and who knows, if you can find it, it should be one of your faves too. Good luck. Good luck getting it. It might be available on streaming services. That's one way to see if you can find it. And I would check it out. I really would, because you deserve to hear it. And it just kills me that this stuff, is so hard to source. I mean, it's not fair. It's not fair to any of us, is it? But that's the way it goes. What can I tell you? Take care.